We're live, folks, into the action from the break on the hottest show on the streets, the best form of Alabama football news, notes, and information you will find anywhere in my own words with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. But the man of the hour, folks, is here, our own Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for TDA. Brother from another mother family affair, Justin. What's going on, man?
Not much, Stephen. It's a pleasure to be here again.
It's awesome, as always, Justin, to have you. And just starting this thing off with, of course, the 2020 class. We'll get into 2021, but the 2020 class, first and foremost, we just saw the video there of Chris Broswell playing on screen, one of the 4 outside linebackers Alabama signed in this recent class here. You and I both watched him at the Under Armour practice down there in Florida. What did you see from him at the practice? What did you take from him? Does he have the ability to somehow scratch out some playing time this season?
Yeah, I think it's up in the air, especially for Alabama at that outside linebacker position, because it is a question mark there. You know, you have Chris Allen coming back. You hopefully expect him to be the leader of that group with this experience, right, and make a jump for him to be a signature part of that outside linebacker group. But it's also a question mark. You don't know if Ben Davis is going to be able to make that jump. He has not done so during his time at the University of Alabama. So it is a door for a freshman to step up and make an impact. And I think that opens the door for all 4 of those guys, looking at Drew Sanders, Quindarius Robinson, and also Chris Broswell. So I think that opens the door for him. But when you look at Chris Broswell, it's a lot to like. When you look at his measurements, he fits the mold of what Alabama is looking for at the outside linebacker position. But when you look at him, look at his playing style and what he brings to the game in between the whistles. He's a kid that has a nice jump off the line, a kid who can tackle. I think he has a nice form on his tackles. He does not really bring that thump that you may want to see out of an outside linebacker at the moment, but that is something that he can grow into, something he can really mature into at that outside linebacker position. But this is a kid who played at St. Francis Academy, which means that he has an advantage over some guys who went to smaller schools. When you go to St. Francis Academy, you get a chance to play against teams across the nation, similar to Mater Dei High School, of course. He played Mater Dei High School. He actually went up against Bryce Young. So you get to go.
How did that go?
Yeah, Bryce Young had a historic night that night, but Chris Broswell did have some success getting to Bryce Young. So you see that he has that range. The kid who can really make some tackles in the open field. So I think I think the door is open for Chris Broswell to possibly make an impact if he gets the opportunity.
No. This evening is a big evening, Justin, as the 2021 class Alabama. There's a young man making a commitment today. Will he choose the Crimson Tide remains to be seen as he looks to make that commitment. I remember you were telling me around 5:45 the young man is expected to make his move. Now, who is the young man trying to make the commitment, if you will, and do you see him possibly going to Alabama? Who's fighting for him at this time as he's about to make this decision?
Well, the guy you're talking about is Kane Williams, the 4-star safety out of Louisiana, who is expected to announce his commitment in a matter of minutes. Now, he has a top 3. He released a top 3 in March. He was originally set to announce a verbal commitment, but he decided to hold off and announce a top 3 instead of LSU, Alabama, and Texas A&M. The good thing about Alabama in terms of them pushing for Williams is the fact they were able to get him on campus for one of their junior day events with it, which is looking to be like a huge deal for Alabama when you look at the fact that certain schools were not able to get some of the top targets on campus during the spring. It looks like they will most likely not get those guys on campus this summer as well, with the recruiting dead period being extended through June 30th, and with the month of July already being a dead period, it looks like most schools will not get a chance to host any guys this summer. So Alabama getting him on campus, I think that is huge for Alabama, because throughout this recruiting dead period, they have been able to talk with him about his relationship, build a relationship with Alabama, talk to him about some of the things that they have to offer, and not really just try to virtually recruit, totally have to do those virtual visits that Alabama's coaching staff has been doing. They don't have to do that with Williams. You don't have to take out time to do a virtual visit, show off all of the facilities you have. You can just focus on that relationship and hone in and show him that he's really one of your top guys.
If you're just tuning in here, folks, to In My Own Words, we got Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for TDA, on here talking Alabama recruiting for 2020, but also definitely 2021 more so. And so, Justin, in terms of trying to push for more guys, because of the 4 commitments Alabama has now, they pushed for all 4 of them. Who are the next wave of guys that Nick Saban, even with doing the virtual apps, even with doing the Zoom calls, who are the next wave of players that Bama has to get to commit quickly?
Well, I wouldn't say have to get to commit quickly, but guys who could be considering it possible. Alabama really likes at that outside linebacker position. Of course, we at Touchdown Alabama have believed in Jackson for quite some time now. Going back to when I first interviewed him, got a chance to interview him, he told me that he had not heard from Alabama at all. He said there was no interest in Alabama at that point. But when I got a chance to interview him, when I saw his tape, I said, "Yo, we're going to interview you because we feel that Alabama is going to jump on a kid like you." And I think Alabama has continued to recruit him. He told me that multiple members of Alabama's coaching staff has continued to push for him throughout this recruiting dead period. I would put him in a mix. Of course, you have to put Kane Williams in the mix. Another guy I would put in the mix is Shamrick Jackson, a 4-star defensive end out of Orlando, Florida, by the way of Boone High School, a guy who Alabama's head coach Nick Saban actually FaceTime a couple of days ago. So when you know you're one of Alabama's top targets when you get a chance to FaceTime with Nick Saban.
I have not had that experience yet.
So Nick Saban FaceTime this kid who has been in contact with multiple members of Alabama's coaching staff, Alabama's special teams coordinator, Jeff Banks, Harmon Wiggins, so many different guys with Alabama's coaching staff. So Alabama's coaching staff is doing a collective effort of really pushing for these guys. And another guy I will put into that mix is Daryl Peterson. A lot of Alabama fans may not hear too much about this guy, but this is a guy I'm going to constantly bring up because he had an actual official visit set to the University of Alabama during the month of June. Of course, he cannot do that with the recruiting dead period being extended through June, but he did tell me it does not matter if I'm able to take any official visits this summer. I visit enough schools. I'm going to make a commitment this summer regardless, and Alabama was able to host him for one of their junior day events. So those are a couple of guys I will keep an eye on, along with Kane Williams.
Now, Justin, the guy you've been high on this whole time, the guy you referred to as the best pure product from the state of Alabama, Quincy McKinstry, the defensive back, he is set to announce his top 3 schools on Sunday. Now, I know he's been working with former Alabama safety Justin Woodall for quite some time now. Where does Alabama stand in your mind in McKinstry's top 3 that he's about to drop here soon?
Yeah, he's going to drop a top 5 Sunday. Actually, but when you look at Alabama's push for him, I think Alabama is in a great position for McKinstry. I know a lot of Alabama fans wanting him to commit soon. I think if he did commit soon, I think Alabama will be the favorite to land him. But I think McKinstry is such a talented kid. So many other Power 5 programs want to get him on campus. I've been in contact with him daily. I think with him being a smart recruit, wanting to evaluate all of his options, I think he's going to want to take many more visits before he comes up with a decision with schools like LSU, Auburn, among the schools really push for him. I think Clemson is pushing for him as well. So I think he's going to release at top 5. I expect Alabama to be in it. I expect Alabama to be in a good position, but I don't think he's going to commit anytime soon. I think he's going to evaluate his options more, try to see what all the other schools have to offer as well.
Now, I know you mentioned there's not a must get for Alabama right now, but if you had to get like a top 3 to 4, players that if Alabama does get these particular guys, it's a huge feather in the hat of Nick Saban. Who are those guys that if Alabama can get them, that's big for the program?
Well, I'll first start off with the Brockermeyer twins, of course. Brockermeyer twins, Tommy Brockermeyer, the 5-star offensive tackle, and James Brockermeyer, the 4-star offensive lineman center. Those are two pretty good guys. I think Alabama's coaching staff is really pushing for. With the offensive line being a priority position for Alabama in the 2021 recruiting class, they are expected to add 4 to 5 guys at that position. So I think those 2 guys would be 2 guys I think Alabama would really like to have. I got a chance to talk with their dad. They are really considering Alabama. I think Alabama's in a good position with them. I know that their dad did attend the University of Texas. He was inducted to the Hall of Honor at Texas, a first-round draft pick in the NFL. But I think that Alabama is in a good position with them. When I got a chance to talk to them, he was able to write out Alabama stats right off the top of his head. So they are considering Alabama pretty heavily.
That'd be the Brockermeyer twins definitely in that loop here for the Crimson Tide. Well, kind of a fun question here, Justin. Fun question here. For the 2020 class coming up here, that's already here. If you could name 1 or 2 guys, a couple of guys that have the potential to be freshman All-Americans, probably not all the freshmen will get a chance to play this season. Hopefully having college football season. But if you could think of a couple of freshmen that had that opportunity to maybe be a freshman All-American for the Tide, who would those guys be?
Well, you first have to look at guys who have an opportunity to do that because, of course, some positions are pretty much locked up by veteran guys in a way. Of course, Nick Saban's going to give you the opportunity to work and possibly get on the field, but some of those veteran guys are in a great position to keep their spot in Alabama's starting group. But when you look at the defensive back position, I think a dark horse guy could be Brian Branch, the 4-star safety.
Highlight kid right there.
If he had a chance to get an opportunity to get on the field, possibly he could work into that role. One of those guys at outside linebacker position, I'll put William Anderson. Of course, with that question at the outside linebacker position, he possibly could move in there and possibly make a push for that. And I will also put Bryce Young in it if he got the opportunity, if he somehow worked in. And I know Mac Jones looks to be in a pretty good spot to be Alabama's starting quarterback. But if it was ever a chance where Bryce Young had to be called on to be in that position, I think he has the weapons around him to possibly push for that.
So we got Bryce Young, we got William Anderson, and we got the dark horse and Brian Branch coming from our own Justin Smith if there was an All-American freshman, All-American opportunity. Well, folks, as always, in my own words, the podcast, hottest show on the streets, we got Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst on. Justin, as always, fun having you. Love the insight you bring to the table. You be good, man.
Thank you, Steven.
When we come back from the break, folks, we're going to dive back into your phone calls, tweets, text messages, thoughts, questions, and concerns after this.
T-Town Menswear in the University Mall in Tuscaloosa. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $5.95 per month or pay $49.95 for a full year subscription. That's a saving of almost $22. Make sure to subscribe before it's too late and get our new freshly printed end of the year magazine issue. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
Thank you for watching Touchdown Alabama Magazine's YouTube channel. To continue to get the best in Alabama football content, subscribe here and turn on your notifications to stay connected with the hottest shows covering your Crimson Tide.